fun with with that book, and it would just made my life so much fun. I still have.
Do you really understand how a 75-year-old comedy legend became one of the most controversial names in Hollywood almost overnight? Or are you only seeing fragments of a story that has been building quietly for more than 5 decades? What is happening now did not begin with a single incident, a single film set, or even a single accusation. It is the collision of a lifetime built on chaos, improvisation, and unchecked freedom, with an industry that no longer tolerates ambiguity. Bill Murray was once celebrated for being unpredictable, uncontrollable, and untouchable. Today, those same traits are being examined under a far harsher light. Bill Murray was born on September 21, 1950 in Evanston, Illinois, but the real foundation of who he became was poured in Wilmette, inside a crowded house bursting with noise, tension, laughter, and survival instincts. He was the 5th of 9 children, one voice among many, which meant learning very early how to stand out or disappear. His family didn't have much money, but they had humor as currency. Wit was protection, sarcasm was armor. If you could make the room laugh, you earned your place. If you couldn't, you stayed quiet. His father, Edward Murray, worked as a lumber salesman, bringing home a modest income that had to stretch across Catholic school tuition, groceries, and medical bills. His mother, Lucille, was the axis around which the household spun, holding everything together with discipline and resilience. Bill grew up watching his parents struggle quietly, and he absorbed a lesson that would define his life. Pain doesn't get sympathy. Pain gets masked with humor. That lesson hardened when his father died of complications related to diabetes in 1967. Bill was only 17. Overnight, the family lost stability, and grief became something that had to be managed rather than expressed. His older brother, Brian, dropped out of college and came home, eventually finding work at Second City. That single move would quietly redirect Bill's future, though no one knew it at the time. Bill was never designed for the conventional path. At school, he played sports, flirted with academics, and spent most of his energy entertaining people around him. He formed a rock band, sang Beatles songs, improvised lyrics, and used noise to drown out grief. Humor wasn't a career choice yet, it was a coping mechanism. He read obsessively about American outlaws and rule breakers, men who lived on the edges and refused to fit in. Those figures didn't just entertain him, they gave him permission. In 1968, Bill left for college in Denver with vague plans of studying pre-med, but the structure collapsed quickly. His grades fell apart, his motivation vanished, and homesickness set in. He hitchhiked back to Illinois, meeting strangers, drifting through conversations, absorbing stories. That unplanned journey shaped him more than any formal education ever could. It taught him that chaos could be survivable, even profitable, if you leaned into it. Then came the moment that could have ended everything before it started. On his 20th birthday in 1970, standing in line at O'Hare Airport, Bill joked about having bombs in his luggage. Security didn't laugh. They found nearly 10 pounds of marijuana worth roughly $20,000. The arrest made headlines. Probation followed. College ended. For many, that would have been a collapse. For Bill, it was a pivot. Second City became his lifeline. In 1973, he joined the touring company and quickly proved he was unlike anyone else. His humor wasn't safe, it wasn't polite, it flirted constantly with disaster. He mocked lounge singers, heckled hecklers, and once broke a man's arm during a confrontation, only to later buy him a beer and drive him to the hospital. That story spread like folklore. People didn't just laugh at Bill Murray, they feared him a little, and that fear gave his comedy an edge. New York followed. National Lampoon Radio Hour followed that. The group was combustible. Gilda Radner, John Belushi, Christopher Guest, talents colliding nightly, fueled by exhaustion and ego. 3 thrived there. He played characters that felt broken, unhinged, barely held together. When Saturday Night Live came calling, it wasn't instant success. His audition failed. He started as a writer. He waited. When Chevy Chase left, Bill stepped in, awkwardly at first, then with growing confidence. By 1977, his strange energy had fused perfectly with live television. His Abraham Lincoln sketch didn't succeed because it was clever. It succeeded because it was uncomfortable. Bill leaned into pauses, stiffness, and wrongness. The audience didn't know when to laugh, which made them laugh harder. That became his signature, comedy that felt like it might derail at any second. By the late 1970s, Bill Murray was no longer just a cast member, he was an event. Sketches like the Rag Doll family photo shoot and the infamous cinnamon bun monologue weren't memorable because they were polished. They were memorable because they were barely contained. Improvisation wasn't a tool for Bill, it was oxygen. Behind the scenes, though, tension brewed. Fireworks pranks, fights, fractured relationships. When he left SNL, it wasn't graceful, it was explosive, and that pattern followed him into film. Meatballs, Caddyshack, Stripes. These movies didn't just succeed, they crystallized a persona. Bill Murray as the anarchist comedian, allergic to authority, impossible to control. Entire scenes were invented on the spot. The famous Cinderella monologue in Caddyshack wasn't written, it just happened, and it became legend. But that same energy caused damage, expensive damage, broken sets, delayed shoots. Crew members left tense and exhausted. By the mid-1980s, Murray was one of the biggest stars in the world. Ghostbusters turned him into a global icon. But even then, there were moments that unsettled people. Improvised physical contact, lines crossed without discussion. Back then, it was brushed aside as eccentricity, genius behavior. That label protected him for years. As his career progressed, the pattern intensified. He would vanish between projects, refuse calls, ignore studios. Royalty disputes delayed sequels. Directors learned to work around him, not with him. Co-stars sometimes adored him, others dreaded him. The industry tolerated it because the box office numbers justified the risk. But then something shifted in the late 1990s. Rushmore happened. Lost in Translation happened. The humor slowed. Melancholy entered. Bill Murray became the face of aging, regret, and quiet despair. Critics praised him as a serious actor. Audiences saw depth, but the chaos didn't disappear. It just went quieter. Behind the camera, though, stories accumulated. Arguments, walkouts, on-set tension. By the time accusations began surfacing publicly, they didn't feel sudden to those who had worked near him. They felt overdue. In 2022, the production of Being Mortal shut down after a crew member accused Murray of inappropriate behavior during rehearsal. The incident wasn't brushed aside this time. An investigation followed. A settlement followed. The film was canceled. And for the first time, Bill Murray's reputation didn't protect him. What shocked Hollywood wasn't only the accusation, it was Murray's response. He didn't deny it outright. He framed it as a misunderstanding, a joke, something funny that landed wrong. In earlier decades, that explanation might have worked. In 2020's Hollywood, it detonated. Suddenly, past stories resurfaced. Incidents once dismissed as eccentricity were re-evaluated through a modern lens. Co-stars quietly distanced themselves. Projects stalled. Invitations dried up. And Murray found himself on the outside of an industry he once dominated. At recent screenings and public appearances, Murray's comments added fuel to the fire. He spoke about feeling barbecued, about learning lessons late, about starting over. Some heard accountability, others heard deflection. The internet dissected every word. Empathy and condemnation collided online. What makes this moment so unsettling is that Bill Murray is not a simple villain, nor a simple victim. He is a man shaped by an era that rewarded boundary pushing without consequence, now living in a time that demands accountability without nostalgia.
The same unpredictability that once made him magnetic now makes him dangerous to ensure. At 75, Bill Murray is still trying to redefine himself. Indie projects, smaller roles, quiet apologies. He speaks about regret now, something he rarely acknowledged before. Whether that will be enough remains uncertain. This is not just the story of one man's downfall or redemption. It is the story of an industry finally reckoning with behavior it once celebrated as genius. Bill Murray didn't change overnight. Hollywood did. And that is why his story feels so uncomfortable today, because it forces a question no one likes answering. How many legends were protected by laughter, and how many warnings did we ignore because the jokes were good? Bill Murray once made a career out of refusing to play by the rules. Now he's living in a world where the rules have finally arrived. Whether he adapts, disappears, or finds a quieter place in the